Welcome to the first episode of the Airworks podcast. My name is Corey Roberts and I'm the owner of a company called CR3. We're a production company specialising in scalable content for a range of digital platforms. Separate to the production company, I've started a company called Airworks. Now, we've been doing a lot of high-end drone work for a number of years. I have for a long time had the idea of starting a podcast around drone technology, mainly centered around Australia to begin with. Drones are fun and they're fun to fly, but when you do it commercially and when you do it as a business and as a company, it's a different hat that you wear, and it's also a different process for which you go through on a daily basis. There's a lot of misinformation out there about whether or not people should get registered, and I think with the help of a number of other people, we will be able to answer a lot of questions, review equipment. So we're going to run you through, separate to that, I'm going to take you along and take you behind the scenes to show you what goes into some of these shoots. I did a quick little post on Instagram stories. If you want to go check it out, it's on IGTV. It's unedited, it's raw. It's just taking you along for a shoot that we did and some of the issues that we run into shooting in these more difficult locations. What I will say is a lot of misconceptions about flying larger drones and flying it for professionally, and there's a lot more work that goes in behind the scenes before you ever put that drone in the air. There's a lot of maintenance and there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with it. I think there's a push at the moment for people to turn their hobbies into a business or a company. And while that might seem like the best possible solution and the best possible outcome for you, it's not always the same thing. I think the same with photo, video content. When you're working with clients and you're working with staff and profitability, there's a lot more things that go into running that as a company versus just doing something that you really enjoy. I worry at the moment with so much emphasis on people being entrepreneurs and running their own business that they forget that it's still a business. While they might have the skills to do something really creative, it might not be in their best interest always to, if they know exactly what they're getting into, to have to run the company structure as well, make it profitable and pay themselves a wage and look after their staff and insurance and all these other things. This is going to be, I hope, a 1, 2, 3 post per week podcast, depending on time availability of myself. This will be formed in a video podcast. It will also be uploaded to iTunes as a podcast. We will keep that in mind when we're talking to camera and we're talking about things. It will get pretty boring if I'm just sitting here reviewing things and talking to a camera. So I'm going to bring on board a number of other people, have regular input on the goings on around technology, drones, software, and the things that we use to make our life easier. What we've been doing with CR3 really successfully is working on this idea that I've had for quite a while and learnt from working for 2.5 years with a company called Sweat. Learned a huge amount from a guy called Toby, who's the CEO there, and he pushed us to work and keep up with him. And one of the things that worked really well, one of the things that he pushed us to work with him on was a completely open, transparent model. That was scary to begin with, but it enabled a whole lot of trust with the client and ourselves. And I'm hoping to do the same thing here with you guys. So I'm going to open everything up. I'm going to share everything. Hopefully you can learn and grow alongside me, because none of what I do is meant for just me, and I'm not afraid of competition and I'm not afraid of other people if everyone is working to push drone technology and the experience of drones and what they offer to clients forward versus being a nuisance to the public. Because we fly in high risk areas and do a lot of work in the CBD, we are constantly going up against public, police and private companies around what we're doing, why we're there, if we're allowed to be there. There's a lot of issues that I think need to be raised, and there's a lot of misconception out there because there are a lot of people out there doing the wrong thing and saying they're doing the right thing. So when we are doing the right thing, even when we do explain to people that we're allowed to be there, it's often met with fairly angry, and there's a lot of distrust out there, so they immediately think you're doing the wrong thing and that you're not allowed to be there, and no amount of explaining to them or trying to talk to them, calms them down. So what we're trying to do now is we try and preempt a lot of those situations, and we'll go through some of that stuff a bit later. But what I wanted to cover here today is some of the topics that I've reached out to companies and I have booked in. So one of the first ones is CASA have just released, along with their services, a pretty detailed change to the drone industry. I am listed on every CASA email list that I can find, and I found out about this because someone else posted it on LinkedIn from a federal register. I think this is common for a lot of people out there in the drone industry who aren't aware of a lot of these changes until many, many months or years later. So what we're going to try and do is distill that information down into easy to read and listen to summary and conversation. So one of the guys that I've got and partnered with is a guy called Tom, who's also known as the drone lawyer. He operates in Sydney. We're going to tee up a few ongoing conversations, I guess, a portable podcast setup that we have available here at CR3. So I'm going to take that up to Sydney. We're going to sit down and we're going to go through a whole lot of questions that I have and changes to the laws that are going to affect everyone. A lot of that is around the sub 2 kilo market and above 250 grams, what that means for registering a drone, and Air Services paper that just got released around integrating drones into commercial airspace. Now, we've been working with a number of companies overseas for a number of years. First one being Parazero, which enabled us to apply for the first blanket exemption for flying within 3 nautical miles of the Adelaide Aerodrome. I'm going to go through that in detail at a later stage, let you guys know where we're at with that and what's going on with it. The second one is flight ops over people. We have just signed NDAs with a company in Demonis. Their current CTO I've been in touch with for quite a long time on email and LinkedIn, putting pen to paper for a deal that is going to, with their support, enable me to apply and prove the safety of flight ops over people with an Inspire 2 drone. Now, the benefit of this to the industry is going to be huge in a range of different aspects. And part of the deal with the company in the US is that they've done a number of years and invested millions of dollars into this process through the SORA. And they're allowing me access to that, and I'm going to fund all of the internal costs and processes to get this through with CASA. They've had it approved in Canada, and the US, I think, is either very close or has passed it. And so we're going to do the same here with CASA. Now, that isn't going to be a closed system. There's going to be an embargo period up until the point at which CASA approve it, and then all of the testing procedures, reporting is going to be made available to all of you guys. The only cost of entry will be the parachute system from the company from Alaska, which will come with all of this information to be able to, so that you can just take that and apply. The first one's always the most difficult. We're getting it through Air Services and CASA's approval. It's not going to be an easy or fast process, but once I have that through, it will enable everyone else to have access to that. Not interested in doing this for myself. I think that all of these procedures and all of these technical opportunities enable every one of us to be able to safely and compete on a level playing field. At the moment, my only issue is that we're investing a lot of money into this sort of technology, procedures, staff, and we're constantly going up against people with no license, no insurance, none of the costs or overheads that we have to deal with, and that's not a level playing field, and we can't compete with them. There's a lot of operators out there now who do a great job, but pulling the wool over a lot of clients' eyes, which makes it very difficult for people trying to do the right thing and invest back into the industry. So yeah, we're going to talk to Tom, the drone lawyer, initially about the regulations that exist now. One of the things that I don't think has been addressed, and something I know comes up for me a lot on set, dealing with the public, is the concerns around privacy with the drone in the air. Currently, if you have turnover sub $3 million, the privacy laws don't apply to you. It's not as simple as that, but Tom's going to go into a bit more detail and explain to everyone what they can and can't do and how they should approach working with a drone in the air. The other one is Drone Shield. We're going to meet with Oleg Vornik, the CEO of Drone Shield. He's a company that CASA have contracted to help them. I'll just say how it is. I believe they've enabled Drone Shield, who are a military-style drone defense system, can bring drones down with a large gun. There's a lot of scare tactics around this, and I'm not yet convinced how effective that is, but I'd love to have a conversation with Oleg about it. I think a company like this needs to exist. I don't think it's something the police can deal with, and I think the initial testing around Sydney Harbour around high-risk things like the Vivid Festival yielded some really successful results and saves helicopters having to deal with rogue drone operators. Now, I think understanding that technology as a drone operator and as a business owner is extremely useful, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation with him about that. So if anyone's got any questions, they can make comments below on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure yet about the podcast and how that works with comments. I'm sure there's a place for them, but the easiest way is if you want to shoot an email through to my PA, her name is Ruby, and it's the letter R for Roger, at airworks.com.au. And she'll include those in a list. Within reason, I'll try and get to all of them and get some questions in front of Oleg. I'm going to hold off on questions for Tom. I think we've got a lot to go through, and I think we've got a lot of useful information out there for the general public, clients, and for educating operators out there who aren't necessarily trying to do the wrong thing, but they just don't understand the regulations. I have a hard time keeping up with it. And when they release a 60-page document that requires a few other documents to read alongside it, in very difficult to understand text, I think someone like the drone lawyer in Sydney, Tom, is a huge asset and be a regular person on the podcast, both video and content. I am not 100% sure what this is going to look like. My initial, I really wanted to get this into audio, so I'm going to be aware and I'm going to try and focus this towards audio and provide video for context. If people want to watch the YouTube channel, see what me, Tom, anyone else looks like. If we do show things, we'll try and explain them, but this is a brand new exercise for us, so you're going to have to work with this. I had some initial interest from Rise Above Drones. I'm hoping that they will come on board and give us access to some of the new technology that's around. Especially this week is the FPV goggles. Now, again, I'm looking at them purely from a commercial standpoint and how they might integrate into like cinematography drone work. There's some incredible stuff happening overseas with a few ex-racing drone operators. It's a completely different market. They're a lot harder to fly, but I think the DJI goggles and new controller just bridges the gap a little bit to something more familiar, and I will try and get hold of someone either locally or in Sydney who's well versed in the FPV world, and I want to try and build up from someone that knows nothing about it with a set of those goggles and a racing frame, and we can, with the help of them, do some how-to videos and make the entry point a little bit easier. So I'll keep you posted on that. But again, all of these conversations are going to be focused around drone information, around people that want to run a business, operate and work within a company structure. So technology, the CASA information, insurance, public liability stuff, we're going to try and cover early, get the really boring stuff out of the way, and create a bit of a library for everyone so that people who are getting into the industry can work their way through it, and then we can start getting into a bit more fun stuff. So we're going to have a separate channel which is going to be over at CR3, which is going to have a more production-based with some drone stuff. So if that's more to your taste, we're going to try and do the same thing over there and just keep this channel more industrial focused, and or if cinematography comes into play, it will be more so from the behind the scenes, the business standpoint, the equipment and the production, all the more technical aspects of running a business with a drone. And the other stuff's going to be a bit more fun. We're going to have a lot more people on there, a few more interesting conversations, but I think there's a real need on this channel for information around drones in Australia. I have a ticket to Airworks this year, which is over in LA. Last year I went to the one in Dallas, time permitting and too cost prohibitive. I'm going to try and get over there for a couple of days and cover that. So I've also reached out to CASA. I have reached out to contact Will, who is trying to put me in touch with their PR lady. I think it'd be great to get someone from CASA onto here, and we can have a chat about some of the things and raise some issues that people have got with where things are going. It would also be a good one to have a round table with the drone lawyer as well. Now, there's a new app out that CASA have released, but I have found out since then that it's not actually from CASA, but it's a better version than what they have currently. So they're mothballing the previous Can I Fly There, and they've moved ahead with the new drone app. So we'll give that a bit of a review, go through it, and I'm going to try and get hold of the owner, whoever's behind that, and get you guys a good rundown on that. The other thing I wanted to go through, when I was in America last year, I got a review of their new system, which is an app to be able to fly anywhere, and that was very early stages of release last year. I think now they've had 12 months. It'd be great to try and get an overview while I'm there and be able to share and how that works and how that might integrate into the landscape over time. That's going to be it for today. So what you can expect from me, what you can expect from Airworks. If you want to check out the site, that's brand new. Any ideas, feedback, opportunities that anyone has or would like me to cover, let me know and I'll do my best to share it with everyone. Tom, the drone lawyer, and Drone Shield are two very important topics at the moment, and two people that I'm really looking forward to having a chat to. So keep an eye out for those. I think you'll gain real insight and an opportunity to learn some stuff that you wouldn't normally get without spending a lot of money talking to someone like Tom or hiring him. I'll keep you posted, and hopefully I can add some value to your business. We can learn and share and grow this together. Thanks. I don't know what if that was any good. Oh dear Lord.